So content marketing comes to the rescue. Is this the solution to all our problems? Is this the way that we should now communicate our brand? Is this the new thing that's going to rescue the digital marketing industry? Well, I wish it was that simple, but we all know that brand communication is much more complex. There's lots of things, there's lots of ways brands communicate. There's, in the old world, of course, communication was largely reserved to the PR and marketing departments. But we now understand that actually brands communicate every day in many ways, sometimes in non-verbal days. It could be marketing, advertising, PR, but it's also your offices. Well, how your offices look, communicate something about your brand, about your culture. The type of people you employ communicate something about your brand. Are they young people? Are they old people? Are they experienced? Are they academic? Are they? Do they all have an Oxford degree? Or are they just a bunch of young hipsters? All these things say something about your brand to people who are looking at you from the outside. What really I think is at stake here is, and this is authenticity. And authenticity is something that a lot of people have written about in the content marketing industry. By the way, people who've traveled regularly to Istanbul are probably familiar with this type of photo. It's something I still fail to understand what they're trying to tell here, but what I'm trying to say is that authenticity is something that is not about the way you write things. It's not about your tone or your voice. I hear a lot of people saying, well, you have to be authentic, you have to tell a human story. Actually, what they're talking about is about the output of something that happens very much at the heart of every brand, something that happens much earlier, which is about the culture of the brand. And this is the biggest change in content that content marketing has seen, is that we're now actually telling the story of the brand, we're telling the values of a brand, which means we're opening up. We're removing barriers, and we're communicating what our brand is about, what we love, what we don't like, what we like, and we're trying to share this with the outside world. So we're trying to be authentic, but you can only be authentic if you've got something good to say, if you've got something positive to say. So I hate to be the content marketing agency for FIFA, for example. It'd be a complete disaster because they are culturally at the opposite end of where I would like my clients to be, which is open, transparent, and sharing and giving and sharing profits, etc. These guys are full of secrecy. There's corruption. There is all sorts of negative things. So if they embarked on a content marketing campaign with us tomorrow, this would be a complete disaster, if you like. So what I'm saying is really the way that content marketing is going is a reflection of the new way brand develop values and communicate their values to the outside world. It's about practicing what you preach. There's nothing new about using content to market your brand, but the biggest change in the new breed of content marketers is that we are producing content that genuinely gives back to our customers. Successful content marketing campaigns are based on the principle of reciprocal altruism. So we give and we get back. It's about forming relationships where both parties genuinely profit from the relationship. So really, when we're talking about authenticity, it's not about how you're planning and implementing your content marketing strategy. It's something that you as a brand and as a company have to really believe in as a group. So now we've done that. We we want to be transparent. We want to open up. We can create great content. Then people come to us and people buy lots of stuff. So, and we can all go home and be happy. this is of course one of the great content marketing myths, something that I actually have to deal with almost on a daily basis. It's like, okay, let's create content, then people come to us, and we have the perfect marketing machine. Of course, it doesn't work like that, because there's lots of stuff out there already. There's how do I actually stand out in this sea of fish in the ocean? Just a few statistics here, and they're probably out of date as we speak. 102 hours of video are uploaded on YouTube every 60 seconds. 118,000 hours are watched during the same period of time. 4 million search queries on Google. So how can I compete with all this as a brand when even publishers like The Guardian, like The Telegraph, are struggling to compete against the overload of information? How do I stand out? Or is standing out actually the wrong question? Because how can I possibly stand out in the million and million of documents that are uploaded on the internet every second, if you like? So it all comes down in trying to reach the people at the right time. So it's about what we largely call amplification. So amplification should really be at the heart of your content strategy. In fact, you should think about it before you even think about your content or what content you want to produce. You need to think about where are the people that I want to reach, and how do they behave on these platforms? What type of content are they reading, consuming on these platforms, and what are they doing it on mobile? Are they doing it on desktop? What's the tone and the voice of the content that really speaks to these people? So we always sit down and try and analyze, who's my audience, and it's basically behaving like a publisher. So amplification, as I'm saying here, is not about shouting. Amplification has to be much more subtle and much more complex like that. So in the old world, I think when we talk amplification, we just simply say, okay, well, you need an SEO strategy, quite clearly. You need to make sure that you're ranking higher on search, because everybody searches, and everybody searches on Google. So this can never be a successful amplification strategy today, because we know that people find content in all sorts of different ways. Yes, search, but they also find it on social platforms. They get it recommended. One of their friends likes it, etc., etc. So really, shouting is not the way of amplifying your content. What you really need to do is create relationships with your audience. So what a successful amplification strategy really has at the heart a relationship that you are trying to create with your audience or with your community. In content marketing, relationship building is pretty much looks like in the real world. It's like a relationship building between humans like you and me. There are a number of things that we need to consider when we're trying to build a relationship with a third party. So really, I should start this whole thing again and not talk about amplification. I shouldn't talk about audience. It's relationship building and how brands can create a community. So what happens when humans build relations or try to build relations? So I'm trying to sort of like rewind to my early days when you're looking out for a partner. The first thing you do is you hang out at the places where you're most likely to find someone that you're likely to like. So you're going to a club, to a nightclub, you go to a pub, you go to all sorts of, for some people it might be the library, I don't know. So really you need to go out there and find someone. So once you found someone that you like, what you want to do is you want to find out as much as you can about that person, because you want to really, you really like someone, but you really want to reinforce that relationship building. So how do you do that? You're starting to share a lot about yourself. You're talking about like your favorite color, the favorite book you've read. You're sharing the history, where you come from, what you experience, or where you've been to holiday, etc. All the things that tell something about who you are and what your values are. And by doing so, you're making yourself vulnerable. You're opening up. But you also invite your counterpart to open up. So what you're actually starting to do is you're building a relationship of mutual trust, respect, and affection. And of course, you're in this for a long term. It's not a one night stand. And we all know, all people who have been in a long term relationship. You need to nurture that relationship constantly. So you can't take your partner for granted. You have to, do little things from making tea, making breakfast in bed, and buying some flowers, etc., etc. So you spend a lot of time and effort in nurturing that relationship because it's really precious to you. So what that enables you to do is to be passionate, and passionate is something that, again, a lot of people talk about, but, as I said before, you can only be passionate if you do something that you really believe in, if what you're communicating really reflects the culture of your company. And being passionate is great, because being passionate inspires other people. So how does this work in the content world?